Holy, 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 holy is the I am. Holiest I am. Precious, 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 precious is the I am. Precious, yes, I am. I know that God is my center, love and glory, singing praises to everything, for He's holy, 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 holy is the I am. Holiest I am. Precious, 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 precious is the I am. Precious, yes, I am. I know that God is my center, love and glory, sing praises to everything, for He's holy, He's holy. He's holy, holy is, holy is I am, holy is I am, holy is I
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Jack Frost nipping at your nose, Yuletide carols being sung by a choir, and folks dressed up like Eskimos. Everybody knows a turkey and some mistletoe help to make the season bright. Tiny tots with their eyes all aglow will find it hard to sleep tonight. They know that Santa's on his way. He's loaded lots of toys and goodies on his sleigh. And every mother's child is going to spy to see if reindeer really know how to fly. And so I'm offering this simple phrase to kids from 1 to 92. Although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas, Unity Palo Alto.
Said the night wind to the little lamb, do you see what I see? Way up in the sky, little lamb, do you see what I see? A star, dancing in the night with the tail as big as a kite, with the tail as big as a kite. Said the little lamb to the shepherd boy, do you hear what I hear? Ringing through the sky, shepherd boy. A song, high above the trees, with a voice as big as the sea, with a voice as big as the sea. Said the king to the people everywhere, listen to what I say. Pray for peace, people everywhere. Listen to what I say. A child, sleeping in the night, he will bring us goodness and light.
Well, happy holidays. Welcome, everyone. You can speak. It's okay. Happy holidays. Welcome. Thank you all for Merry Christmas. Thank you all for being here today. It's great to see you all here with us. Thank you for being here with us. And for those of you who are live streaming with us, thank you for joining us. We feel your energy. And if you're watching this during the week, we really appreciate you tuning in. Thank you so much. And if you're new to Unity, what we want you to know is that Unity is a worldwide spiritual movement. And we've been called inclusive and welcoming for people who are consider themselves spiritual but not religious, who are looking for a deeper relationship with Spirit, a greater sense of health, wholeness, and abundance. People are looking for spiritual growth, transformation, or to simply do life better. We teach positive, practical spiritual principles that you can apply in your life every day to help you live a more joyful and abundant life. We're so blessed this morning to have with us Casey Wicker as our platform leader, Margot LeDuc as our soloist, Russell Norman on piano, Ronnie Beck on drums. And we're so grateful that you're here today. And so we'll begin our service with some Christmas carols. I'll invite you all to stand if that feels comfortable as Margot leads us in song.
The first Noel, the angels did say, was certain for shepherds in fields where they lay, in fields where they lay keeping their sheep on a cold winter's night that was so deep. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. They looked up and saw a star shining in the east beyond. What filled the earth in I messed up.
Good evening, everyone. I said to Reverend John, we need to sing these more than once a year. I messed up too. Oh, good evening, everyone. I am Casey Wicker, and it is my joy to be up here platforming with you on Christmas Eve, to be with my Unity family in person and all those online that we've connected with. I hope you're feeling it. We're sharing the joy. We're sharing the joy. And we are not alone, for we are part of a worldwide movement of prayer, publishing, and education that helps people of all faiths apply practical spiritual principles. These principles can help us live a more joyful and abundant life. Unity is a spiritual movement. We are welcoming and inclusive, and wherever you are on your spiritual path, you are welcome here. We have 5 core principles that guide us on this journey. The first principle, God is. There is only one power active in the universe and in our lives, God, the good, omnipotent. And it doesn't matter what you call it, God, the universe, isness. Our second principle is that this substance and intelligence in it is innate in all person, in all creation. We cannot be separate from it. And the third principle is the law of mind action. It is so important to know that we have the ability to affect our world through our thoughts. Now, the fourth principle, just hang in there with me. The fourth principle is, I think, like Christmas Eve service. The fourth principle is about taking time out of our day, out of the busyness, to center ourselves, to become quiet, and to know and prepare and open to the light. That is what prayer and meditation does for us. It's Christmas Eve, and you can have Christmas Eve anytime. Now, if that's Christmas Eve, our fifth principle is Christmas Day, because that's the gifts. That is when we share that energy of who we are and all that we've learned, and we put it into practical application. So Christmas Day is it, the presence of the presents. So these 5 core principles guide us in our vision statement, and I invite you to affirm it with me. I'll read it first. Centered in God, we co-create a world that works for all. So just think of it as the best present you have ever opened or you're ever going to give, and say it with me. Centered in God, we co-create a world that works for all. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And we now continue our service with the call to worship.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. From now on, our troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. From now on, our troubles will be miles away. Here we are as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us, travel near to us once more. Through the years we all will be together, if the fates allow. Hang a shining star upon the highest bough.
Today's daily word is Christmas Eve. And the affirmation I'll read, and again, I'll invite you to say it with me. So our affirmation is, I follow divine light toward rebirth and renewal. Together, I follow divine light toward rebirth and renewal. A new birth is on the horizon as I follow faithfully the guiding light of Spirit. I anticipate the joyful awakening of a renewed sense of oneness with the indwelling Christ presence. I hold the intention today to imagine myself in the Christmas story. What does a journey to Bethlehem mean to me? I look inward. I may sit in silence as I hold this question in my heart. Whether I will enjoy a quiet day alone or a busy day of preparation and activities, I reverently embrace this prelude to rebirth. I honor myself with the gift of reflection. In the Gospel of Luke, the shepherds took no gifts to Bethlehem other than their humble presence, their very beings. Likewise, I bring the gift of myself, my open and receptive mind, soul, and body. Luke 2, verse 15, the shepherds said to one another, "Let us go now to Bethlehem."
Love incarnate, love divine. Star and angel gave the sign. Bow to babe on bended knees. The Savior of humanity. Unto us a child is born. He shall reign forevermore. Noel, Noel, come and see what God has done. Noel, Noel, the story of amazing love, the light of the world given for us. Noel. Noel, Noel, come and see what God has done. Noel, Noel, the story of amazing love, the light of the world given for us. Noel.
Thank you, Margot. Thank you, Russell. Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you, Casey. Thank you all. Good night. I love that song. Noel. Come and see what God has done. Noel, the story of amazing love. Noel means Christmas, Christmas Day, the first Christmas. As Casey read in the Day of the Word, the first Christmas was presented to the shepherds, You know the Christmas story? Anybody familiar with it? Well, let me tell you the real story. So the story of Jesus' birth is told in two of the three synoptic gospels, the Gospel of Matthew and the Gospel of Luke. And they're both very different because the Gospel of Matthew was written for the Jewish community. It was written to speak to the Jewish community. And so the beginning of the Gospel of Matthew is all about Jesus' lineage because that was very important to establish his lineage in that time. And so it's a little dry, it's a little more formal. And I think what we're really excited about, or what we remember from our childhood or our kids' experience, is the gospel that starts in the Gospel of Luke when they start to talk about Joseph and Mary riding into Bethlehem. And they're riding into Bethlehem because they're there for the census. I think it was the first census ever. And they had to travel all that way, and all we have to do is, fill out a little piece of paper these days. So they were traveling to Bethlehem, and it's time for Mary to give birth. And Mary gives birth, and then she wraps the baby in cloths and lays the baby in a manger. Now, we all remember that story, right? That's the story that we grew up with. And we probably, maybe you were in a play for the story, with that story at your church, wherever you grew up with. Anybody in a play? Yeah, I was too. I was in it. And so that's where we like to start because it's all romantic. And that's the end of the story in the Bible. But of course, we've got people dressed up, kids dressed up in lambs and lions and all kinds of different outfits, yeah, right? And then once the angel comes and to the shepherds are on the hill tending their flock, and then the angel of the Lord comes and surprises them, and they're a little bit concerned because this is out of the ordinary. The angel says, no, don't worry, I'm here to tell you a great story, that the Lord, your Savior, has been born in Bethlehem, and go see them. And so that was really the first Noel, right? The first awakening to this idea. And then the shepherds all went to Bethlehem, to the stables to the manger to see the baby. And then we jump back to Matthew, because in Matthew, that's where the 5 wise men come from. Everyone's nodding yes. 5 wise. Anybody remember the 5 wise men? 3. That was a test to see if anybody was awake. Y'all fail. In reality, it was a trick question because they didn't tell you how many wise men there were. But there were 3 gifts. So it made sense to get 3 wise men, because that way you can cast 3 wise men in the play. I was one of the 3 wise men. Talk about miscasting. No, just kidding. And then the question was, who had to carry the myrrh? That poor person. I was new. I got to carry the gold, so that was cool. And in the story of Matthew, the wise men, who are astrologers or astronomers, see the star in the east, and that has some meaning to them. And so they go tell King Herod, and King Herod says, go find this baby and moidalize him. Of course, we don't put that in the play. That would make a kind of a bad children's play. But that's what happened in the story, is that King Herod wants them to go and kill the baby, because the baby is here to change his life. Sorry, parents, if I'm ruining it for your kids. Of course, the wise men get there, and they know better. They understand what this meaning is, and so they don't kill the baby. Instead, they bring gifts of gold and frankincense and myrrh. And it's a beautiful story. It's a wonderful story of this, commemorating this idea, the birth of Jesus of Nazareth, as he was known back then. The birth of this person, this baby, who would grow up to fully realize that Christ consciousness within him. To fully realize that Christ consciousness, and then to teach others. And so in Unity, that's why we look at him as a master teacher, because he was there to teach us how to live into that idea of the Christ consciousness. That consciousness that is within every person. For as he said in John chapter 14, I got to get my notes. Nope, I left my notes down there. chapter 14, verse 12. For all of these things that I have done, you will do too. Even greater things you will do. Because he's saying that I am a human being. And I'm here, I've realized this idea of the Christ consciousness, and I'm practicing it, and I'm going to teach you how to do it. And all of these things you will do. It's reminded us in Paul's letter to the Corinthians in the first chapter where he says, the hope of glory, the Christ in you, the hope of glory, the Christ in you. And so in Unity, we look at that as that idea of that Christ consciousness that's within us. And that word may not jive with you, and that's okay. You may like the idea of that divine spark within you, or that higher consciousness, that higher self, that part of you that knows better, that knows the right thing. That's the idea that we can lean into. And that's the goal, is for us to start to live into that potential that is within us. For that idea, that Christ consciousness is within each one of us. That spark, that light that shines is always there. It's always there. And that was Jesus' teachings. His teaching was a teaching of oneness with God. And God is that short term for what we call, you might call it isness or divine mind or divine love or the universe. You may call it consciousness. The allness of life is what I like to call it, allness, because it's everywhere present. It's within all people. It's part of all of us. And this idea of Christ transcends religion. It transcends race. It transcends gender identification. It transcends whatever bucket we want to put ourselves in, for everyone has this within us. This light that we're here to shine. Isn't that exciting? I think it's pretty exciting. We may not always feel it. We may not always express it. There may be times in our lives when, my shadow twin Skippy comes out. And it's not, my Christ John, it's Shadow John coming out. We all get into those moods every once in a while, but that spark is still there. And all we need to do is uncover it. Now, if you look at that story metaphysically, it's a great way of explaining how this happens to us as human beings. This idea metaphysically, when you think about the angels metaphysically are the messages from God, the messages from that center within you, that place within you that is pure, that is untouched, and can never be touched. It's just pure essence, pure life, pure God, pure isness. And from that essence comes these messages, these ideas. And the shepherds are our higher thoughts that look after us, right? That tell us, that's not what you want to do. Come away from that ledge that we all go towards. All of those bad ideas. We ever have that divine, that shepherd in you that says, this may not be the right thing to do. And you either listen or you don't. And sometimes we don't listen and we find ourselves in a little bit of challenge in life. Anybody besides me experience that in life? Yeah. Sometimes we don't listen to those good shepherds who are here to guide us. That inner consciousness, that inner realm. The star is that awakening to that inner essence within us, that inner beauty. And when we see that star within us, that light, it's like, it may be a little scary, just like the shepherds were a little scared. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. But then that message says, no, don't worry. It's all going to be fine. It's for your good. It's for your salvation. It's for your highest good. The three wise men represent our willingness to move forward, our willingness to step into this idea, to start practicing as Casey was talking about, to start putting it into practice. And the gold represents the infinite source of substance in your life. It's prosperity consciousness. The abundance consciousness, the principle that's always there, that there is enough. The frankincense represents the love that's within you. Nope, that's the myrrh. What was frankincense? I'll need that later. Transformation. I don't know if I'm getting marked down on points now because I have my notes. The frankincense represents that spiritual transformation that happens when we start to live into that presence within us. And the myrrh represents that essence, that divine love that flows from us. Those are the gifts that this spiritual practice brings to us. This idea of the Christ consciousness brings those gifts to our daily life. Now, it's not always easy, and I think that's the problem, is sometimes we look at it and say, no, wait a minute, Jesus, the Christ, you're comparing me to that? How can I live up to that idea? And the world doesn't need another Jesus. The world needs you. Just to simply shine your light a little bit more. Just a little bit more. During his tenure as, I'll call him, as Messiah or minister, when he was traveling around speaking and teaching, he had his group of disciples with him. Then guess what they did on the road? They practiced. It wasn't magic. They weren't anointed all of a sudden one night, all of a sudden they're holy. No, they had to practice it. And each day as they moved through this idea came new thoughts and new ideas and a new realm, a new layer, a new level of understanding. In his teaching, the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus talked about that light that's within you, right? That light that shines so brightly. And a light set on a hill is there to shine for everyone to see. It's there as a guidepost as we travel through life. It's there to lead us into comfort. But we have to shine that light. And he says, no one would light a lamp and put it under a bushel. Put it under a blanket. You light a lamp, unless, you're reading or you broke into your stocking at 4 a.m. and you're trying to look at all your loot without your parents noticing. Sorry, Mom. Then you might put it under a blanket okay, anyways, I digress. Maybe that was just me. The bummer was when, I got batteries in my stocking. It was kind of like, well, that's exciting. I know that there's going to be something later that I'm going to open that requires batteries, but I wanted some instant gratification. Anybody else like that? No, it's just me. Okay, back to my notes. So we look at this Christmas story both from a standpoint of celebrating this individual, this master teacher, that has all of these great lessons for us. And we look at this lesson metaphysically because we can look at ourselves in the story and see ourselves in every aspect of the Bible if you look hard enough. So it's sometimes we might show up as the shepherd. Sometimes we might show up as King Herod. King Herod, by the way, represents our ego. And there's nothing ego wants more than to, push out, ego, E-G-O, edge out God, or edge God out. I can spell. Nothing ego wants to do than be in control. And ego's not bad. Ego's our personality. Ego's, the part of us that shows up in life. It's just ego shouldn't be able to drive the bus. Right? Let that Christ consciousness, let your shepherds drive the bus, and then ego can just go along for the ride. And so our task is not to think, okay, I've got to be Christ-like. Our task is just to pull back the blanket just a little bit so we can shine just a little bit more in our life. So we can look at life a little bit more clearly. So we can experience life a little bit more fully. So we can shine our light so that other people can see and say, I want to get me some of that. There's something there. What is it that's there? How can I have some of that? Because it's that yearning within us, that spiritual impulse that's drawing us forward, that's pulling us towards our highest good. Anybody out there ever once in a while have this idea, there's something more in life for me. I could do more. I could be more. There's something more. That's that divine impulse pulling us forward. That's that angel whispering in our ears saying, you can be more. You can step into it a little bit more. And that's the gift that this season has for us. It's the rebirth. It's the birth of that consciousness within us. That's what it represents. And every day we have the opportunity to step into that energy and step into that rebirthing, to allow that consciousness to well up within us. It's not magic. It doesn't mean everything's going to be great and hunky-dory. There may still be challenges in life. But we're able to face those challenges anchored in this presence, in this power, and our ability to move through it with ease and grace, and our ability to stay grounded even when all of those around us are going cuckoo. That's a spiritual term. And this is really what is the heart of Christmas and the heart of Jesus' teachings. His fundamental teaching was about love. When asked what are the most important commandments, he said, love your God with all of your heart, your mind, your body, your soul. Love God. Now, it's not God out there, right? It's not that being out in the sky. But love that presence, that infinite presence, the allness of life. That God that's in you, the God that's in me, the God that's all around us, for we are never separate from it. Jesus' great teaching was a teaching of oneness, of knowing our oneness with that infinite presence, knowing our oneness with that infinite substance and allowing it to just simply flow in, through, and as us. As we move through life, we become the legs of God. We become the arms and the voice of God and the ears of God. For when we see through that lens of that Christ consciousness, we see the world differently. When we allow that idea to bubble up within us and to guide us, life is different. Even amongst the challenges, even amongst the sirens. Everybody have any sirens in their life besides just right now? Sometimes it happens. But when you're grounded and in that presence, you're able to move through it with more ease and more grace. Now, part of the song and what many people talk about is this idea that God is Savior. That Jesus is Savior. And what Unity loves that idea, but we talk about it more from the perspective of Christ is Savior. The Christ in you is your hope of glory. The personality, the ego, the person Jesus can't change who you are. Can't change your thoughts, can't change your actions, can't change your words, but you can. You have the power to listen to those better angels. You have the power within you to allow that energy to guide you, to open up to divine wisdom and be guided, to open up to divine inspiration and to create, to open up to divine love and have a deeper harmonizing relationship with life. Anybody like that idea? And boy, wouldn't that feel like salvation to you? If you had that power and that idea, that Christ idea. At the heart of Jesus' teaching is love. Love God with all your heart. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Now, implied there is that you need to love yourself. And I think that's one of our biggest challenges. Forget about my neighbor. I've got to deal with me and my shadow twin, Skippy. If we can't find that balance within us, how are we going to find the balance in a relationship or outside of us, in our career, in our job? Right? It all has to start from within. Everything begins from within in consciousness and thought. And so when we start to love ourselves for who we are, for our authenticity, for our skills, for our talents, for our gifts in the world, we begin to love ourselves with that, then we can love other people in the same way. We can love our neighbor as ourselves. We may not agree with them, right? They may be on different ends of some spectrum that we have of ideas, of beliefs, but we can still honor that idea, that Christ idea in them. And we can still be in harmony with them, even if we don't like them very much. The other aspect of Jesus' teachings in the heart of Christmas is giving. Now, we feel that as Casey was talking about, Christmas Day, right, when we exchange gifts, when we give to one another. Christmas isn't about the physical gifts that we're giving. Really, those are representation of what you mean to me, and so I'm going to give you a gift that hopefully you like, hopefully you love. But the real meaning is the love that's within that gift. Is the compassion that's within that gift. Perhaps also the idea is giving of your own talents, of your own spiritual treasures. Perhaps in your career, perhaps in your relationships, perhaps walking down the street, a gift could be a smile. A gift could be your authentic self, your giggle. Your giggle. A gift could be that lightness that you have. A gift could be, that great set of advice that you give to somebody. And the times that you shut your mouth and don't say anything. That's a bigger gift, usually. Because we all need to go through life and learn through life. And while you may have a great set of wisdom for me, it's still up to me to walk the path. Because just like Jesus can't change my belief system, neither can you. Coming from a minister, dang it. Life would be a lot easier if you just agreed with me. And so the second key to Christmas and to this Christ idea is giving. Giving of your love, giving of your talent, giving of your skills, and being in community with one another. Being here for one another, being compassionate with one another. And sometimes the most compassionate thing you could do is to not give. It's to not do something and to let somebody learn. So it's coming from your heart. It's deciding on a moment-by-moment basis, a case-by-case basis, what's the greatest gift that I can give in this situation? How can I give to life in this situation? How can I make life more exciting and enthusiastic, more joyful? How can I create more joy in the world? By simply giving of my gifts. And I believe that as we begin to live in this fashion, what's been true for me is that when I take one step, just pull the curtain back just a little bit, let my light shine just a little bit more, I feel dramatically better. It's kind of an exponential thing, right? I give you 2 times my light and I'm squared. The experience that I have is squared. It's cool to be square. Is that how the song goes? I don't know. Maybe that's where it came from. But the more I give, the more I receive. And it's something that you just have to be open to and be willing to look at it so that you can see it in your life. Where can you see that good in your life right now? Think about where you can be grateful in your life. What part of your life is really beginning to, expand? Where in your life do you see, your good? What are you grateful for? I mean, truly grateful for. Start thinking of a few things. Because gratitude puts you into that experience instantly. It's one of the most powerful practices that we have. Now, in Unity, we have lots of practices. Right? The practice of denial and affirmation, the practice of forgiveness, and there's multiple worksheets that you can do to help you along the way. The practice of non-resistance, of allowing life to happen without forcing it away, without trying to block it. The practice of getting rid of our stories, rewriting our stories, those beliefs, those automatic, habits that come into our life. There's so many ways in which we can do it, and the thing that you have to do is just to do it, to try it, and to practice it. and to do it over and over again. Jesus' method was very simple. It was simply go into your inner chamber. It was close the door. In consciousness, go within. Because within is where you experience God. Within is where you know your oneness with the allness of life. Within is where you connect with that part of you that is untouched, that is pure, that is love. And so take a moment to, practice every day. It doesn't take long. Many people have said, well, I just don't have time to do a 20-minute meditation. That's okay. Make it 19 minutes. I can't do a night. Okay, 18 minutes. There's one colleague of mine who said, yes, he went to this retreat, and the person who was leading the meditation practice, eventually gave them, I'm going to paraphrase, JFST. That was the acronym, JFST. Just beep, sit there. Not sure what that second letter was for. Just sit there. If you can't get into the meditation, it's okay. Sometimes we get into meditation and prayer and we have this great experience in life. Oh, it feels so good. We say, I did it well, I did it right. That was the best meditation ever. I can retire now. No more meditation for me. And then when it doesn't happen, we feel we did it wrong. But the reality is there's no such thing as wrong. Just sit there. Just be present. You'll see your thoughts go swirling by. Instead of getting wrapped up in them, just observe them. Oh, there's a thought. Bless it on its way. Oh, there's a feeling. Just allow it to be. Practice mindfulness. Focus on your breath. Just focus on your breath as it goes in and out. As you pause on the inhale and as you pause on the exhale, notice the stillness. These simple practices were what he taught. For us to get in tune with the allness of life, love, and wisdom. So let's practice it tonight. Let's take some time now to move into a practice of meditation and what we call affirmative prayer. And I'll lead you through it if you're unfamiliar with it. We'll start by taking a nice, deep, cleansing breath. And I invite you to close your eyes if that feels comfortable, or simply soften your gaze. As you breathe, allow yourself to relax. Feel your feet planted in the earth. Feel the ground beneath you. Wiggle your toes. Allow yourself to feel the weight of gravity. With each breath, we allow ourselves to relax a little bit more. And if there's any tension in your body, just feel it draining out from your feet. Feel gravity pulling that tension out of you. If there's any concern or stress or strain in your thoughts, focus on your breath and just allow those thoughts to drift by and to drain out of you. Breathing in, you might hear the words, I am. Breathing out, you might use the words, at peace. I am comfortable. I am light. And as we breathe, we allow ourselves to become still. The words begin to fade. And we begin to know our oneness in the stillness of the silence. from this place of knowing our oneness, allowing that infinite power to well up within us, we affirm, I am one with the allness of life. With that spiritual energy within, we affirm, I am spiritually whole in this very moment. With the breath, we affirm, I am light. As we move through this evening, as we move through our day tomorrow, as we move through the rest of this year, remember, you are light. You are the infinite source of life, love, and wisdom. It flows through you with ease and grace. You are the infinite source of divine love, allowing it to flow from within out. You tap into that infinite source of divine wisdom and allow it to guide you every step of the way. And in this experience, gratitude. In this experience, we breathe and allow ourselves to feel gratitude, to feel grateful for all that we have, to feel grateful for all of the blessings in our lives, the richness of our life, the beauty of our life. With that sense of gratitude in our hearts, we give thanks and we celebrate by singing the Alleluia. And with a nice, deep, cleansing breath, we allow ourselves to return to this time and this space and this place. With a nice, deep, cleansing breath, allowing that feeling to remain, that feeling of wholeness, that feeling of divine love to radiate from each one of us. Unity Palo Alto is here to help you discover that spiritual magnificence, your hope of glory, and help you live from that magnificence every day. And Unity Palo Alto is here because of your generous donations to our spiritual community. And so I invite you to step into this practice of living in the flow of abundance, of allowing that abundance to flow in through and as we prepare our love offering. If you would like to give to us, there are baskets and boxes outside next to each door. You can just put your love offering in there. And we're so grateful. There's many ways in which you can give. And if you would like to participate here next year, want to help us through the idea of our pledge drive, we're running a pledge drive right now through the end of the year as we begin to plan for 2022. You can participate that way. However you give, whatever you give, whatever gifts that you have to offer, give it with love. Allow that gift of love to be your guide today. The affirmation that we say is on the screen, and I invite you to affirm it with me together. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. And so it is.
Oh, holy night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of our dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pining, till he appeared and the soul felt its worth. A thrill of hope, the weary world rejoices, for yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. Fall on your knees, oh, hear the angel voices, oh, night divine, oh, night divine. Oh, night divine. Oh, night. Oh, night divine.
Thank you, Margot. It's now time for my favorite part of the service. Now, I'm just going to say, it's a little weird. It's a little different. And that's okay. You know, as we were thinking about this, Ann and I were going through the service and all the planning, and we're thinking about, she says, you know, at the end of the service, you have us all blow out the candles, right? Yeah. What if we have a full house and, you know, we want everybody to take a nice deep breath and take off their mask and blow? It just didn't vibe. So what she did, and this is, I'm very grateful. Where are you, Ann? No, there you are. Thank you. Ann bought all of our electric candles. And so here in the sanctuary, our candle lighting is going to be electric instead of by fire. But don't worry, you can go home and light fire if you want. And for all of those who are at home, if you received our holiday packet, be safe, be sane. You can light your candles with us. We'd love that. The first thing I invite you to do is you'll notice there's a rubber band and there's a little affirmation. So I invite you to take that affirmation out. This is a special affirmation written just for you. So just take a moment to read that and take it in. Whatever the message is for you today, take it in. Normally, we light a candle, and I have to explain to you how to light your candle, but I was told I have to explain to you how to light your candle. So here's what we're going to do. It's cool. Take the top and rotate it clockwise, and your candle will light. And now I invite you to, if you feel comfortable, to stand and to raise your candles up, and I'm going to turn off the lights in the sanctuary. Give me a second, Marco. Take a moment to look around. See the light. See the light that you are. Just like that light that's within you, this is a symbol of that essence that glows brightly within you. So allow it to shine. Allow it to be who you are. Allow that divine love to flow through you as we sing Silent Night.
Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round yon virgin mother and child.
a poem, The Heart of Christmas by Joyce Riley. The heart of Christmas is love. The hand of Christmas is giving. Let your heart and hands embrace, all with gratitude and grace. And start each day with Christmas in your heart. And as you do so, you will be filled with joy.
Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing.
Well, Casey, wasn't that exciting?
It was exciting.
Hey,
Dad.
you know what tomorrow is?
What's tomorrow?
It's Christmas.
It's Christmas.
You know what the day after tomorrow is?
What's the day after tomorrow?
It's the Burning Bowl service.
It's the burning bowl service.
So what do we do at the Burning Bowl service?
We burn a bowl.
We burn a bowl. Nope. That's not it.
Okay, what we do every year, it's one of my favorite services. It's that time to release, people. Release and let go.
Release and let go. It's been a year, hasn't it? Are you ready to release and let go?
Can we burn the year?
Well, you can write it down. We're going to give you a little piece of paper. It's a small piece of paper because you know how we are when we start talking about the stuff we want to let go, is we start to make a whole story out of it, and pretty soon it's like a book later. Anybody? Anybody? Okay, 3 people. Great. We're just giving you a little piece of paper to write down and to allow yourself to release. And then the following Sunday, the first Sunday in January, January 2nd, is our White Stone service. So once you release all of that, what do you get?
Oh, then we have room and space to bring in the good. And we think about that one word that centers us in what we want to bring in to the new year. Woohoo!
So join us for those 2 services if you'd like. We'd love to see you there. In the meantime, Merry Christmas. Live Merry Christmas. Love you all. Blessings.
Merry Christmas.
One quick lost and found. If someone's missing a charm bracelet, I have it for you.